Hey and welcome to New World with Aragon. This video game presented by Amazon, the mailing company, has been just released into its beta closed beta testa phase, where we can go and jump in for about 10 days, level up our characters and experience all we can. Now this game is really appealing to me at its current state. I love the visuals. I've leveled up my character nearly to 10. It has a whole set of different systems and mechanics that really work together, and the way they've done it just makes the game really enjoyable to play along with visually appealing. So this game I went and just played for about 3 hours now, and I'm just gonna give my general impressions of how I found it so far. First of all, I'd like to give a special thank you to all of my channel members here on YouTube. They really help to keep my channel going. So, New World. What makes it different from other MMOs? Well, it is one of your traditional RPG MMOs where you can go and level up your character, and then you can go and equip gear and so on and so forth. But a lot of the focus is on crafting your own gear initially. You're not going to be spoon-fed gear from completing quests. Well, at least you will for the very beginning few quests, like the tutorial. They'll get you geared up a bit. But after that, you're on your own for a decent chunk of it. Now let's go and activate the UI here. There you go. It is a bit big in parts. I would like to adjust the chat a bit. And then on the top, right there, we have our different quests. We have our journal with the different quests in it as well. You have like main story, side story, and also faction missions. And these certain missions give you certain rewards there. And not many of the rewards are like gear pieces. Like this one, sure, is a tribal loyalty charm. And yeah, you have then on your main character sheet here. Let's go into our inventory. You can see your different character slots. You have your traditional armor slots. What I really like about this game is you can have 2 different weapon slots. Now you won't have as many powers as, let's say, other traditional MMOs. You just have a select few. For example, I go and equip my bow. You can see down the bottom right there, I have different slots for different powers, and I can go to my weapon mastery, and when I use that weapon, I'll gain like experience in it. And you'll be able to spend points going down these skill trees, and then you'll be able to get like 3 of these different abilities, and you'll be able to slot them in. You get what I mean? And same with the sword and all these other different weapons. So those are kind of your bread and butter of what powers and actions you'll be doing. First, you'll need to actually obtain the weapons, and the main way to do so is yourself going to these crafting stations, and you can go and earn the materials, and you can go and craft up like a musket or a bow. And then you have all these different workstations. A very easy way to see where they exactly are is on the map. When you zoom in on an actual settlement, you can see the different icons for the workstations. Like this tannery one was a difficult one to find since it wasn't next to all of these others. Now, with regards to the map and where you start, you generally start on like the outer edge somewhere, and you're like shipwrecked, and then you just have a whole load of different quests you need to complete, just kind of holding your hand through the initial process, and then you'll be led to one of these major towns, these hamlets, and then you'll be able to pick up quests there, and it'll just then bring you to the different crafting stations and just kind of show you what you can do. And then it's on you from there whether you want to go and gather some materials to start forging, let's say, the different types of weapons. For example, we go to this forge, and you can see we could craft up like a warhammer or a great axe. We just need to go and find some iron. Now, what I did find was it was a bit tricky to actually know where to get iron, but generally you go to like the higher places on the map. Like I found a bunch just up here, and these kind of mountainous areas, you can find them like those nodes in the boulders. A really nice thing is when we go out in the world, you can literally go and gather things, materials for crafting from literally anything. Like you go and you kill some animals, and you can go and gather their, or skin them and get their hides you can see just wandering around here, we can go and like see these bushes. We can break down these bushes and they'll give us like sticks and stuff, and we can go and chop down this young tree to give me wood. And you have all these different tiers. You can see behind me there's this big tree here, and we aren't able to chop it down because it's a mature tree, and we're going to have to improve our logging skill to be able to chop it down. It'll give us more valuable wood, which will then give us the opportunity to go and craft up more valuable items using that wood. And you have all these different crafting abilities here. You can see all of them up here. There's 7 of them, from weaponsmithing to furnishing, all those in between as well. And the different ones will give you like different weapons and such, and armors and magical stuff, and you can click on them and you can look at all the different actual things you're going to be able to potentially craft with that. It is a bit daunting in the beginning of the amount of stuff, but that's kind of what you want in a game, and it gives the game this depth of, yeah, there's a lot to be done here, a lot to be achieved. And when we went and jumped into this game when it first came out in its beta just yesterday, there were about 200,000 people playing this game. There were definitely a lot of queues, so you would have to wait. Like for me, it nearly took an hour at the beginning to get in. I'm assuming they were just improving their servers, making sure that there's not going to be so many people in each world. I think there's around about 1,000 people designated to each one of these worlds. And then you also have your different servers, like your US West and your US East, and then your Central Europe, and those then give you the options for the different worlds, which then you're separated into just playing with those people. And when you get to a certain level, I believe it's just 8, you can go and join a faction. And when you join one of the 3 factions, you can see here, looking in my bio, I've joined the Marauders. Actually, I think I'm going to join the Covenant when this game actually goes live, just because I prefer the look of them, but we'll see. It doesn't really matter what faction you join whatsoever. Sure, there are a bit of cosmetics tied to it, but that's about it, and otherwise it's just playing with your friends. Play with your friends and have fun. A lot of the focus on this game is PvP, which does lead definitely to competitiveness on upgrading your gear. Currently, you may be concerned that this game might have, let's say, a cash shop where you have microtransactions, and then with regards to a PvP game, it definitely like gets people to pay money if you're able to buy competitive stuff from this store. As of right now, you can see they're only selling purely cosmetic things. Unfortunately, they have stated that yes, in let's say a year or so, when most of the veterans or most of the beginner players have gone and already like got their characters beyond max, they're probably going to introduce like experience boost things just so you can get your character to max quicker. Let's say you're a newer player and you just want to play with your friends who are already maxed, then I don't see it such a bad thing to be able to speed through the leveling process, but that after the majority of the people would have leveled up. At least I hope that's what they'll do. And they have said they're going to introduce other convenience things. It has me a little worried. Like, you look at Neverwinter and you can definitely see, yeah, they've introduced like a VIP system, and at this stage in the game you really can't get anywhere much without VIP, thus forcing you to pay, especially since they haven't bothered fixing their Astral Diamond exchange. So New World has me really intrigued and has me wanting to play it, which is what you want in one of these good games. It has a lot of people you can chat with, you can hang out with. It has this whole like guild system, which is your company. I haven't really gone into it yet, but we'll see where it goes. And then you also have your faction, and your faction is one of the main 3, and then you're kind of you against the other factions, your faction versus the others, and you're kind of fighting for territory control on this massive map. Luckily, this map is, or nicely, is completely open world. You can go from one area to the next without having to experience any of those loading screens. It gives the whole game a lot more of an open feeling, a lot more you can just explore around at your leisure, all these different cities. A lot of them are kind of like, the further in you go, the higher level you have of these towns and things. So you want to be kind of sticking around to your newer towns back here just for the meanwhile. Once you get more experience, you can navigate further into the map, into these more dangerous areas when you're geared up a bit more. Another system in this game, which I guess I don't really like, but I can see why it's there. With your inventory, you have like your weight, right? And when you have so much stuff in your inventory, you can become encumbered and then you're like really slow and stuff. You also have the thing of, depending on what gear you're wearing, like let's say when I wear this scout breastplate, you can see it is a actual heavy chest wear, meaning when I want to dodge, right, I can only slide like that, right? That's about it. Jump a little bit. Whereas if I go and unequip this, then you can see I can actually dodge roll. And that kind of adjusts your different playstyles then. You also have, I'm not actually sure where to see it in game, but you get different buffs also depending on that. So let's say I'm not wearing heavy armor and I'm kind of on the light load kind of side, then I would have like a buff to 20% of damage. And when you're like more on the heavy side, then you have like a buff to defense. It kind of, you know, balances that kind of tank and DPS. And it only does that through the gear. The wonderful thing about this game is, yeah, you don't have different classes like you might have in a traditional MMO. You actually just have these different weapons. You have these different weapons which you rank up, and that's literally it. Each weapon gives you these different points, and you can go and rank up each one individually. When you use it, you'll obtain these skill points. So there's no need for alternate characters, which in my opinion is a great thing, meaning you can get everything done on the one character. The crafting is, or these trade skills, they are a bit daunting and there's so many of them. Ideally you'll want to focus on just one or two and get those ranked up really high, and then you'll be kind of that one person that people will go to go and craft those certain items with those certain statistics. Like you look at these end results here and they're pretty crazy at what kind of materials they need. Many of them we don't even know what. Like you look down here at these different recipes, this legendary item, you'll be able to craft a spear, and you'll need all of these different items. I'm assuming some will come from PvP things, some will come from PvE, and others will just come from like, you know, gathering out there. It's getting, like you can see there, it's from these orchilacrum veins. You'll be able to get this cinnabar. So yeah, that's my overall impressions of the game. It's really fun to play at its current state. You have all of these different crafting recipes you can go through, getting all these different items. The questing isn't like holding your hand the whole way. You do have like guidance points. You won't have like a sparkly line leading you to exactly where your next quest is. You'll have to open your map and actually have a look around at what it requires you to do. You have these different icons for your different locations, and some of them are like this one up here. It's like a recommended 23 level, and you have your different enemies there, and I believe you also have like mini bosses which you can get certain drops from then as well. So would I go and check out this game? Well, I currently don't really know. I'd like to get to Endgame and then actually see, is this grind worth it? Is it worth to get to there? I believe there's going to be a lot of endgame content, especially evolving around PvP. There is a decent chunk of PvE content, like your expeditions, they call them. They're the dungeons, and you can go explore around the map, and you'll be able to gain access to them just by finding them. And you'll also be able to craft up and gain certain keys, which will also allow you entry and so on, and you'll be able to get those valuable rewards, they say. Not exactly sure how it all works with, like, let's say the RNG of things. Is it 100% drop rate on certain items or not? Or you just have to be lucky, or just go and exploring, and once you find it, you find it. I'm not sure. So we'll see how it goes. I'd love to experience the end game, and as I've mentioned, PvP is probably going to be a large focus on endgame in this game. I don't think that's a bad thing. It gives a lot of like motivation. PvP games in general can be very big just because the environment, the dynamic between player versus player makes it so that no match is the same. You look at like Fortnite and people play it for endless hours because no match is exactly the same to the other, because you're not just against AI, which are predictable, you're against other players, which generally are very unpredictable. You're not exactly sure what they're going to be doing, and thus you're going to have to continually adjust your play style, what things you're actually doing, to make sure that, I guess, you don't die, and yeah, you can achieve the victory. So I'm looking forward to continuing on with this game, and hopefully this first impressions was somewhat insightful. Hopefully I didn't ramble on too much, and if I presented this well, consider leaving the video a like, and if you're new around here, consider subscribing, and we'll see you guys around. Bye for now.